So I want to lean heavily on your expertise here from your experience with the Chilean mine disaster. When you understand the little we're getting out of Turkey so far, what is the first thing that they need to focus on in their rescue efforts?
Well, definitely I'm sure they have a good emergency plan for this kind of situations. Most mines should have one. There's usually an emergency response team that comes into play, and I'm pretty sure from what I hear, this is a pretty good-sized mine, so I would think they have a lot of safety equipment on the ground that can maybe, hopefully you always have to hope for the best and hope that there's still a lot of people there alive. So one of the things, you don't want to give up. You don't want to give up. We never gave up on our side. We didn't know what was going on down there at about 2,000 feet below ground. And I think what really helped is we had a lot of hopes to, even if we could find one person alive, it was worth the effort.
Yeah, I mean, in Chile, the miners survived 69 days underground, you'll remember very well, better than anybody. In Chile, they were also dealing with a cave-in. In Turkey, what they believe they're dealing with is an explosion and an electrical fire of some kind. How does that change the dynamic?
Well, that definitely changes things because on a cave, when you have a cave-in, you hope that the miners were not exactly where the cave actually occurred, which was the case here in Chile. They were luckily they were able to get in a place that they were safe. It was just a matter of hanging in there until we could, get down there and drill and find them. In this case here, where you have fire involved, it makes things a lot tougher. Fire can, create a lot of carbon monoxide, and that can have an effect on people down there. And I think here time is more of a pressure problem than it was in our case for sure. Time is definitely a factor here, and I did read a little bit. They were trying to inject a little air in there, which is good, but if you got some fires, oxygen or air is not going to. It helps the people, but it also can cause a fire to ignite even more. So you got to be real careful with that too.
How do you take that into account then? Because we hear from the rescue efforts on the ground that they are trying to pump clean air into the mine shaft to try to help anyone who's down there. I mean, there are still some 200 believed to be missing. You say that can also carry risks. How do you balance that? What do you do?
Well, I'm sure they got hopefully enough information to realize what areas they can inject air into. If there's no fire in a certain area, you can definitely inject air, and that will definitely help. As time goes by, the air is what really gets to be a problem down there when you're trapped, and getting fresh air in there can definitely help the people out to where they can survive a lot longer. So air is definitely a good option, but you just got to be careful you're not injecting air where there's still a fire.
Now, the Chilean miners, if I remember correctly, they were down a little less than half a mile. The miners in this case, they believe, could be about 2/3 of a mile or even up to a mile below the surface. That seems to obviously pose much more additional challenges. How do you take that into account if you're trying to get down there?
Well, it's a different situation. In our case, it was a collapse, and we just couldn't get anywhere close, so we had to drill a hole from the surface. I'm not sure what all the details are in this mine here, but if he can, this is a pretty good-sized mine from what I can understand. So if he can get close to where the fire is, you don't have to drill a hole from surface. You might be able to reach the miners through the inside, which sometimes can make it a little better. But you got to be real careful if you don't. That you don't send people in there and then have your rescue people get trapped in there. So a lot of planning, you need a lot of information so you can make the right calls. The more information you have, the better options of making the right decisions and hopefully getting down there in time to try to get some people out alive. And that's that's the name of the game. We never gave up, and after 69 days, like you say, we were able to get all 33 of them out alive.